Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you the top 6 snowblowers that I recommend to my customers. Actually, the first 2 that I will recommend to you fall in the same category. The other ones follow. They're a little cheaper than the first 2 I will mention. As I've talked before in some other videos, I always recommend my customers to buy a new snowblower if they can afford it instead of taking a chance on a used machine. I've had a lot of viewers and customers as well ask me, what should I buy? Some of my customers call me and say, hey Don, my snowblower's had it. I'm going to go buy a new one. What do you recommend? And they also call me to make sure that it is a brand name that I will actually work on. So before I start off, guys, I want to let you know that I do not recommend the off brands. What I mean by off brands are like store brands. You buy, some obscure name that's hard to get parts for. And that's the exact reason why I don't recommend them. Some of them are just complete junk, poor quality, not made in North America, and a nightmare for most shops to work on. The big nightmare with the off-brands is actually getting parts for them. You can have an off-brand machine come in your shop. I've been there, done that. It will sit in your shop for a month. The customer will call you every 3 days to see if it's ready. And the only reason why it's sitting in your shop for 3 weeks to a month is because you can't get parts. Getting the parts is actually harder than the actual repair itself. So try to stay away from the off brands if you can help it. If that's all you can afford, it's fine, but just make sure you look after it properly if you do that. Okay, let's start with the number 1 and 2 snowblowers that I recommend. These 2 fall in the same category, and maybe you guys have already guessed it. These are a little more expensive, but the 2 are Honda and Yamaha snowblowers. Now, these are the Cadillac of snowblowers, guys. If you buy one of these, it's like buying an Escalade or a Denali SUV pickup truck. It blows like hell. It blows far. You can blow it over your vehicles in the driveway and hit your neighbor's house if you want to. Not that you want to do that, but you can. Now, these machines will cost about 2 to 3 times more than the other machines I will mention in this video, but the Honda and Yamaha are my favorite snowblowers. My actual favorite snowblower would be the Honda snowblower, by the way, but I would put them on par together, the Honda and the Yamaha machines. Now I'm going to give you a bit of pros and cons of buying these machines versus the other ones. The pros is that it's an awesome machine like I mentioned. The cons might be that if you need parts and service, it will cost you a lot more than the other machines I will mention in this video. So to give you an example, the parts might be at least double than if you had a Cub Cadet snowblower. And the labor might be a little more as well to just replace the belts, for example. So keep that in mind. You will pay a lot more upfront and you will pay more for parts and service thereafter. So Honda and Yamaha are my top number 1 machines that I recommend if you can afford them. Number 2 would be the Toro snowblower. They are well built. I know they have plastic chutes, but I rarely have to replace those. I've only had to replace plastic parts on Toro snowblowers because something had actually fallen on the machine. The transmission is super well built in the Toro snowblowers, guys. I hardly ever have to replace friction discs and the shaft that holds the friction disc as well. They blow just as far as the Honda and Yamaha snowblowers as well. Again, the parts for the Toro snowblower will be more expensive than the other brands I will mention here, but they are a good machine as well. The labor is not as intensive as Honda or Yamaha, but the parts are. So you'll be saving on the labor if you need it to be repaired compared to a Honda or Yamaha snowblower. The number 3 machine that I will recommend for my customers to buy and my viewers here is the Ariens snowblower. These machines blow like hell as well. They blow really far like the Ariens machine and the Honda machines as well. And again, like the Toro and Honda snowblowers, the parts are a little more expensive than Cub Cadet, MTD, etc. But they are a really good machine. They have super nice colors, orange colors, and the new ones are they look retro a bit, some of them, with the white belt cover and the console. So they're awesome machines. Great service if you need to call errands. It's the same with Toro as well. They treat their employees really, really good. And if you call Toro, they do have great customer service, just like Aaron's does. I've actually had to call Aaron's in the United States, and the service is just excellent. And one thing too is that there are a lot of Aaron's dealers out there, and you can buy some of them in a big box store. However, I do recommend that you buy your snowblowers from a dealer if you can help it. The reason I recommend that for all snowblowers is because they are put together most of the time better than what I've seen come out of the big box stores. Now, the Toro machines and the Aaron's machines will be about half price of buying a Honda or Yamaha. So to give you an example here, if you buy an HSS 928 in Canada, you will pay around $5,000 plus tax. You can buy a good Toro snowblower, like a mid-size, I'm talking about 28-inch, for about $2,500 to $3,000. So almost half of buying Honda or Yamaha. So for number 5 here, I will recommend the Cub Cadet Troy-built MTD snowblowers. They're all made by MTD, Stanley, Black & Decker now. And I must say, for the price, you do get a good deal with these machines. I've got one in the shop right here, a Troy-built. I will show it to you, give you the Canadian price, and show you some of the features that it has. So this small Troy-built 24-inch machine here, you can buy this at Costco here in Canada for $1,400. I've got a customer who bought one in December for $1,400 at Canadian Tire, which is a big box store. It's usually on for $1,800 or $1,899. Now for that price, you do get a lot of machine. You get features like the easy steer and heated hand grips. And another thing that is good about Cub Cadet Troy-built MTD is that they're easy to work on. Parts are always available. Rarely do I ever get parts that are back ordered, and the parts are extremely affordable. So for example, if you break a shifter cable or a driver auger cable, they're usually around $20, $25, very affordable. And like I said, usually always available and no back orders. And I've never actually had a Powermore engine that is on those come in the shop blown up. So if this falls in your budget, guys, it's actually a good machine for the price. Now, I did say that they're all made by the same company, MTD. Now, the differences will be that Cub Cadet may have a few more features. There may be some parts on it that are built better than if you just buy a bottom-of-the-line MTD machine. Now, some brands that are made by MTD, as I mentioned, Cub Cadet, Troy-built, Yard Machines, and also Remington, they're orange, and I think you can buy those at Home Depot. So again, for the price, you get a good deal. The labor is not intensive like the Honda and Yamaha machines, and the parts are probably less than half of Honda parts and Yamaha parts, and also half of Toro and Aaron's parts as well. Okay, now the last machine that I will recommend here is the Husqvarna snowblowers. They're okay machines. There's a lot of plastic on them, but for the price, again, it is a good deal. The parts aren't that expensive. You can buy an auger belt for 30, 35, 40 bucks, and usually they're available all the time. The cables are not expensive. The chute tilt cable, the chute rotation cables might be a bit more, but the drive cables and all those other cables, they're actually very affordable. The only problem I run into sometimes with Husqvarna is that a lot of the parts are back ordered. I eventually get the parts, but it's a bit of a pain if you have 2-3 machines in your shop and you're waiting for parts on back order. What I do to get around that is I order parts throughout the year, even if it's in the summertime, so that I have a stock of the fast-moving parts for the winter season. Now, all these machines will have their issues at some point. However, if you maintain your machine every year, bring it to a qualified mechanic every fall or spring to have a proper service done to it, and in that way you will avoid a lot of costly repairs. So basically the way I recommended the machines today is number 1 is the most recommended, and then number 2 less, 3, etc. But again, a lot of the recommendations here are based on what the customer can afford. So number 1 and 2 is Honda and Yamaha snowblowers. The next one is Toro, Aaron's, And then after that, Cub Cadet, Troy-Bilt, Remington, those are all in the same recommendation. And then Husqvarna snowblowers. If I forgot to mention any machines here that you like or that you recommend, please comment below. Let me know what machine you're using and how you like it. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button as well. And also hit the little bell under the video so that you are notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching and have a great week.